This is a brief video for staff as we start gearing up for next year. Just to recap, we at the board meeting last night, we just discussed some of the philosophies of what we're going to do as far as the tackling this new document released by KSDE. They have not officially voted on it, but I went ahead in this email and attached a link. KASB did release the document, so I guess they released it publicly so that it wouldn't be coming from me. So I guess someone gave them permission and not me. It is lengthy. It's about 1,100 pages. Real quick, just to give a summary. The first around 990 pages is going to be curriculum items. So it's more, they call them competencies. It's what I feel is kind of their introduction to the redesign process, which is something we'll all be having to do by 2026. And so basically it has grade bands and subject bands where you can just go through and look. So for example, you might say, what does a 6th through 8th grader need in reading fluency? And it will tell you, here's the 10 things that they need to be considered competent. So it's something you can use as a resource, but definitely not something that we need to dig into altogether. So that's going to be the bulk of that document, is going to be the actual conversation around each teacher and each subject area. That's why it's lengthy, because it kind of tackles everything. The last part is the part that we're going to need to talk about, and it's the actual operational guide. Full disclosure, and they'll own this too. These operational guides were made by committee. So the transportation committee was not talking to the food service committee, was not talking to the facilities committee. So there's several places actually where there's redundant language or contradictory language, where the bus might say get them off as soon as they can so they're not congregated, but then the facilities might say keep them on the bus so they're not congregated in here. So there's a lot of that they will tell us that it's all just suggestions. There's no ironclad rules or regulations that we have to follow. That they're just giving us suggestions. So just to recap, Thursday, Dr. Watson has these meetings that they host that I go to weekly, and they're Zoom meetings, but they only have so many seats in the link, and I think it'd be great. So anyone that wants to come and see, it's going to be 2 hours, so I don't know what your schedules look like, but we will be having it in the auditorium, and basically the format would be a Zoom where you can see other pictures of other Zoom people, like statewide, 1,000 of them, and they can see us as well, but it'll just be kind of a panoramic view of everyone that shows up in the auditorium. And then if you have a specific question, I can type it in, or someone else can type it in. We won't be able to, they won't let us unmute just because that many people, it would just be pandemonium. So my hope is that we start that, if anyone that wants to see that, we can, and then we start touching based on what we want next year to be as far as what we want written. I have several examples that I'm not going to dig into too much until I kind of get an idea what staff is thinking. I'm still of the very firm mindset, regardless of opening school in August, short of the state shutting us down. Many of you probably have heard by now that there have been some changes to graduation. Part of the thinking of that was at the high school and was we don't want to do anything that would potentially make school harder to start in the fall. So the thinking was if these outside events like that, it'd be better to limit some of the exposure, so in that way when we start school, we don't have any other thing that could possibly cause us to have any concerns. So that was the reasoning behind the graduation change. But as far as, that's why summer school, it's going to be our Hoxie kids, the rec, things like that. Those are the kind of things that we need to get used to doing anyway, because all these kids are going to be around each other when we start school. So my mindset is still going to be, here is what we're going to do, and here's what we're going to do if you're uncomfortable. So mask, but not required. Distance learning is an option, but prescribed if your parents want it. And then also flexibility with staff. You're going to be the key. There's just no other way around it. All the science is pointing that this is not really something that's terribly impactful on kids, and most pediatric research you'll see and any kind of paper says that kids need to be in school. And we all know that. But the question is going to be your comfort level and what you need to have ready. So after we do that, if anyone wants to stick around and we can talk briefly about kind of getting some framework. I don't want to put too much down. At this point, I think the more we focus on it, the more it becomes something that's what the year is going to be. But we can't ignore it either. So I think everyone kind of knows where I'm at, but I want to know where you're at because you're going to be the ones that are key in all of this. So if you're able to come Thursday, it's at 12:30. It should probably last about 2 hours. I welcome you to come, sit, listen. It's a lot of information, but you'll see, as they say, how the sausage is made, and then we can decide what we want to do. I got your back regardless, no matter what your situation. We're here for these kids, but I also know that we need to be here for you too. So whatever we need to do to make everyone as comfortable as possible. But I'm still of the mindset we need to start school, and we need to start school in the most normal way possible and as safely as possible. And as we've said 100 times, we don't always know what that is. So the video got a little bit long, just a little bit of an explanation. The document, as they do in the fancy YouTube videos, will be below. So click the link below to actually see the document. And then if you are wanting to hear straight from the horse's mouth, Thursday, 12:30 auditorium, and then we'll take our next steps from there. And if you have any feedback or input, I'd love to hear it. And can't wait to start the school year and be there for our kids in our community. Thank you.